Guys doing out there in the world today? We're going to talk about these tariff wars, trade wars, the U.S. economy a little bit, how this thing is evolving, how it's transpiring, what was China's intention, what was Donald Trump's intention, this whole little tug of war thing. And I think this weekend they worked out a little some temporary stuff, and I'm gonna really talk about and go a little bit in detail as soon as we get back, you guys. All right. Back. How you guys doing out there? This is EB Crypto Eric Brent, and we're talking about this whole Trump China tariff standoff, short term solution, whatever they're calling it right now. But before we go into it, I want to remind you guys that we have these cryptocurrency courses, and we're only taking a few people for right now. Some elite classes that we're giving people to learn how to trade crypto, learn how to trade Forex. It's for beginners to learn, on a beginner level all the way to advanced levels, how to trade S&P 500 options, things like that. We're going to be walking and holding you guys' hands with certain professionals that I've linked up with, instructors who are very, very astute in these fields. And we also have available some private training for those that really want to learn how to position themselves within the next year, 2 years for this massive exchange of wealth that I'm calling in the cryptocurrency industry. There's about 6 or 7 different protocols that I can teach you guys how to spot the real investments in crypto, which are not these immediate gratification type of platforms. Usually those are scams. I'm going to show you guys how to identify the scams. I'm going to show you guys different things like staking, like nodes, and how to own nodes, and how to own real world assets, and different cryptocurrencies that are attached to real world assets. These are the type of things I'm going to show you guys. And there are millions and billions of dollars being made in this type of industry right now because BlackRock, they're all doing it. They're all getting a part of this type of industry. They're setting up to make massive amount of money. So many different industries are just being disrupted by this blockchain technology and AI. And if you guys want to learn that, we also have that private lessons available for you guys, one-on-one, different type of courses where you can privately have access to different individuals, including myself, to be able to position yourself again for what I'm calling one of the greatest exchanges of wealth in the history of economics is happening right now. And if you guys are interested in learning how to do that, contact me. There's always a link underneath my videos where you can contact me. So now let's get back to the subject. The subject is China. The subject is Trump. And it was really, really interesting what happened because I saw this as a pump fake. I saw this as a pump fake from the beginning because when we decided to sanction, so to speak, China and pretty much rate go up on the tariffs, had this old tariff war, you know, I know why Donald Trump did it. It was necessary because they have been so taking so much advantage of the trade, the access to trade in America, the capitalization, the fair market here in America. But there's not a fair market in China. It's never been a fair market in China. There's never been an equal fair market in Japan. These Asian countries are really, really, really strict when it comes to you exploiting or getting any kind of business interaction going in those companies, in those countries. But they take full advantage of this free enterprising and entrepreneurism in America. So they've benefited from that over the years. Well, Donald Trump said no more. And I think Biden should have did this, Obama should have did this, Bush should have did this. Nobody has done this because the corporations of America found it to be more profitable to send all their manufacturing and outsource it to China. And it was good while it was good, but now uh, the Chinese government has used all their profits to build up their government, to build up their military, and to position themselves now as a global power. So now it's a problem all of a sudden. But it wasn't a problem when they were exploiting that country's cheap labor. It wasn't a problem. Now it's a problem. So China, on the other hand, trying to follow the westernized economics. And I'm going to show you guys and start teaching you guys more about Austrian economics versus Keynesian economics, which Keynesian economics is mainly what we have here in America, where this based on debt, is based on debt pushing the dollar, debt pushing the economy, debt. And they use debt as an instrument, whether it's bonds, whether it's treasury bonds, whether it's, CDs, mortgage-backed CDs, all this is debt. And so they've been driving the US dollar for years by debt. That's how this economy is based on. It's not based on anything solid backing up the dollar. It used to be, but not anymore. So China following that same pattern, not realizing that that's not a long-term plan. That's a short-term plan. Like maybe you'll get 20, 50 years out of that, but you're not going to get 100, 200 years, 300 years out of that kind of economic system. It just doesn't happen. Every economic system that started off using debt as its, incentive ends up in zero. Every currency, fiat currency, everyone throughout history ended up in zero. And there's been, surveys taken. There's a guy named Mendel, I believe, did a survey. He went from A, B, C. He never even got to D, E, F, G, and Z. By the time he got to C, he went through 800 currencies through history, and every last one of them ended up in zero. So China's trying to follow the United States model, which is a model of a future disaster. So they got ahead of themselves, did a lot of loans, real estate, and the price of real estate became so high to where the medium average income in China, the real estate is 25 times higher than the average income. That's a problem. Think about it. The average income, the real estate price is 25% higher. This was the problem. So in America, even at our worst, I think it was 2008, the average income in America was 6 times. Real estate was 6 times higher. That's a problem. 25% higher is a problem. So real estate started to crash there, They had a huge real estate problem. Not to add the One Belt, One Road became a disaster, trying to loan out money to all these other countries and help their infrastructure. Okay, Jamaica, we'll give you $200 billion and we'll rebuild your airports and give us access to your airports. And they tried this all over the world to get some kind of global dominancy around the world, and it's somewhat backfiring on them. Now, at this time when all of this economic disaster is happening, Donald Trump comes in office. And like any good businessman, when he spots a weakness, he strikes. He strikes when he sees a weakness. I mean, this is not nothing new. This is the way business is done. And this is why we kind of need a president with a little business savvy. If you guys watch the movie Pretty Woman, if you guys watch the movie Mr. Deeds, when they saw a weakness in these companies, they strike. Okay, that's the best time to strike in business. So they saw weakness. Donald Trump saw weakness in the Chinese economy, and that's why he did what he did. And both of these presidents, Li Jing, whatever, G Li, I can't. Excuse me, I know I'm butchering his name. Excuse me. So the president of China, he was flexing. Donald Trump was flexing. Oh, we're gonna go up 400% on America's tariff. And Donald Trump, we're going to go up 500%, whatever it was, whatever those stupid numbers were. I saw this as a pump fake. Both of these countries are pump faking. Donald Trump actually struck at a really unique time for China. China could not afford to go to this tariff war because China has about, I think 60% of their income is coming from America. We're the big dog with the big money. We are the biggest consumers in the world. America is the small one. It's not the largest country in the world. But America is, I think, 30% of the world's global economy is based on the American dollar. And you can't do any kind of trade of any goods and services around the world without using the American dollar. So everybody needs this American dollar. So we got them by the kahunas. pretty much. We got them by the kahunas. And so they had to uh, come to the table eventually. And I was just laughing at this whole standoff. It was funny to me because we have over 70% of our products imported. There's nothing imported. There's nothing made in America. So who are you kidding, Mr. Trump? Who are you kidding, United States government? And the same with China. China, 60% of their income is US dollar. 40% of their food every day in China is imported. They can't even buy food without having US dollars. So who are you guys kidding? And I told you guys this in the beginning. I did some videos. I'm going to attach the videos here telling you guys tariffs economically it's never been a good idea for no country throughout history. It has always been a disaster. It doesn't work, okay? Because even more so today, every single country in the world is not dependent. They are interdependent on some other country for resources, for minerals, for services, for manufacturing, for something. There's not one country in the world right now that's independent. I don't see any. Not when it comes to economics, not when it comes to global resources, not when it comes to global minerals. No country in the world is independent. So we all are interdependent on one another, and all of that, they have all of this different pump faking going on with, you know, I call it piss contests, who can piss the farthest. It's never going to work. So I knew it was inevitable that they had to sit down at the table. But I must commend our president, Donald Trump. I must commend him. I know there's a lot of people that hate on Trump, but I'm looking at this strictly for economics. I must commend Donald Trump because he struck China at a very volatile time in their economic history. You got to remember, only since 2000, I think it was 2000, I think it's 2000, the Chinese banks have become credited banks in the world. So they're new at this. They're new at this. So they're just trying to figure it out. And they made major mistakes. They made some major mistakes. And their whole economy is dependent upon manufacturing, period. So once that rug is pulled from up under them, then they got to come to the table and talk. I don't care what they say on the media. Oh, not gonna bow to Donald Trump. We're not gonna. That sounds good, but at the end of the day, you need this American dollar. You can't buy anything without this American dollar. So at the end of the day, they got to come to the table, and Donald Trump knew that. So this is why he did that. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump doesn't really want to break tie with China either, but he wants to negotiate different terms. China's charging us 40, 50, 60% to get our goods there, and we're charging them 10%. How's that going to work? How is that going to work? When you're sending more products here than we're sending there, why are you charging us more? So it's little things like that that the American public didn't know. Let's even the playing field. Let's allow more American businesses to come over there and set up their businesses. Let's allow more American businesses to not have their intellectual property stolen from China because they're good at that too. They're not the masters at creating anything, but they're the masters at taking something and expanding it and making it better. They do that, but they're stealing products. They're stealing international intellectual properties, IPs. They're stealing them. They've been stealing them for years. So all of these things needs to be negotiated. We need to come on. We need to even the playing field here. You guys are doing too much. And so somebody had to do that. But I'm so glad it didn't last forever. I'm so glad it's being worked out because truckers will eventually feel that. Warehouses would eventually feel this. Probably every swap meet in the country will be closing if this wouldn't have got handled. And I like going to the swap meet, getting my stuff, you know. I do like shopping, get my hats at the swap meet, you know. So I like some of the deals I get at swap meet, shoes or whatever I might get. I find a lot of different deals at swap meet. I mean, we all need these products. So at the end of the day, they're going to work out more and more, but somebody had to renegotiate better terms for American products, American companies. And, you know, of course, we need to tax them a little more and we need to get more from their importing of these manufactured goods. So all of this stuff is being worked out now. They're pretty much forced to come to the table because when you hold somebody by the kahunas, you're forcing them to negotiate more beneficial terms to your advantage. And that's what we did. And it's working out to our favor. And with that, that's all I want to say is, we're going to continue to see how this thing is evolving. But again, if you guys want to learn more about how economics work and position yourself, no matter what happens in this world, where you can get some of this great exchange of wealth that's happening, contact me under the link right here. Again, I have some personal classes that I do teach and some one-on-ones, but we also have group courses that we teach you guys how to trade and stuff like that. But if you just want to learn how to position your money and position yourself personally and your family, then I have one-on-one courses for that as well. So with that, we're going to sign out, you guys. Have to see you guys on the next video. Deuces.
Cryptocurrency.